What does it mean to live life to the fullest, train to your potential, and perform at your best?
Leave nothing on the table. That's a non-negotiable, is that I strive to be better every day. Because if I'm not on top of my game, how is anybody else going to follow me down the road?
Keep demanding more of yourself to live up to that potential and to stay hungry.
Training is progress. You know, when I look at the word training, I think of steps, baby steps to get somewhere that you want to be. And that is basically your life journey.
It's a mindset in itself, man. It's like, it's not just about, I know that for you, a lot of that's about the physical, but we're constantly in training, whether it's growing our skill sets, whether it's growing our physical bodies, whether it's growing our relationships, whatever. And all of that's a training ground. And that kind of goes back to the mindset that we just talked about.
You underestimate yourself and you don't even start. But then once you start, you often surpass what you thought you could do.
Perform at your best, mate. That's sort of what life is all about. You know, I want to have the knowledge, I want to have the fitness, the health, the ambition and drive that no matter what comes along, when that next phone call comes, I can just say yes. I don't have to worry. Just go and do it.
That's a great point, mate. Like, you know that you're, like, it's hereditary. Like, you're potentially predisposed to having heart problems, right? And the thing is, like, that gives you the power to make a decision. You don't just go, oh, well, it's going to get me, so now I'm not going to look after myself. I'm not going to train. I'm going to fucking drink 3 pints every night and eat fucking chicken palmy and chips and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, man. Like, you understand that. So that makes you aware that, hey, if you don't look after your shit, then maybe you'll have problems. Right? And you might still even have problems, right? But you're going to delay that as long as you can by living a healthy lifestyle.
So I've got this thing, I call it success should be slow. So success equals luck times opportunity times work. So obviously luck, like, shit happens. Some people say I don't believe in luck. This year has shown us that things will happen. Like COVID is a great example. Genetics are another thing that you simply cannot control that. But then we have opportunity, which is something different. Like, opportunities are where things happen and you can either take advantage of it or you can't take advantage of it. Yeah, like, I'll use you for example. Like, you were out in Phuket and then job opportunity came up at Tiger. You were able to take it because you had the skills, you had the experience, and someone will look at you and go, oh, sure, you were lucky to get a job in Thailand. Well, I wasn't, because if I hadn't done the qualifications, if I didn't have the quality of coaching that I've got, I wouldn't have got the job. So that's not luck, that's an opportunity. The island I live in, you can get a finance job, easy money, comfortable life, all that stuff. I moved to England, I was getting paid, like, at the time, £5.77 an hour, I think it was, to work in a gym. You know, gave up the opportunity to work in finance and just cushy life, get a house straight away, all of that stuff. And now people say to me, oh, you're lucky to have a business. And I'm lucky because I can take the afternoons off and I work in the evenings and whatever. You know, money's good from the business. And, you know, people don't understand that. They don't understand that their work is what creates these opportunities. Like, all the stuff we've spoken about, the habits and all these little things that seem insignificant at the time, they're things you don't want to do because you just want to watch Netflix. And all that stuff adds up, and that is what then these opportunities are coming up all the time, every single day. There's a hot girl walking down the street. If you were in shape, if you were feeling lean, if you were feeling strong, you know, you'd have a bit more confidence to go and approach that girl. It can be women, it can be jobs, it can be like you spoke about playing rugby. You know, a rugby tournament comes up. Well, Fat Sean, who hasn't trained for a year because he just wanted to go out on the beers with his mates, has the same opportunity as Fit Sean, but one of them did the work, one of them didn't. So it's not about luck that Fit Sean can go and play rugby and take part in the tournament. It's just that, you know, he did the work. And I think this draws together a lot of what we've spoken about, where all these small things, just doing the work, showing up day after day after day and layering it, enables you to take advantage of these opportunities. And yes, there will be a bit of a sprinkling of luck. Like, you know, your genetics might be better than mine, but I can still do the work and take advantage of whatever comes my way. And again, going back to some of the stuff we spoke about, you know, over an hour ago, is that we assume that we have a right to have the same opportunities as somebody else. Like, if somebody else can buy a house, somebody else can travel the world, I deserve that. And, you know, this is a bit more of a philosophical point. That one of the things you need to get rid of is these expectations that because somebody else has something, I can definitely have it. Like, the only thing you can take care of is the work, it is the habits, it is the behaviours. And then when those opportunities come up, having the courage to take advantage of that. You know, not everybody is presented with the same opportunities. Not everybody is born into the same family or born into money or whatever else. And if you're going to spend your life worrying about and being pissed off about the fact that somebody else has other opportunities, you're probably going to miss all the ones that were lining up in front of you, but you never took advantage of them because you hadn't kind of done the work, got fit enough, educated yourself, you know, all the stuff, the basics that we've spoken about.
Yeah, just to piggyback off the end of that, like I heard a saying that luck is the crossroads where preparation and opportunity meet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got to do the preparation, you got to put the work in, man.
Yeah. Nobody wants to admit that because then when they miss an opportunity, they don't want to, you know, nobody ever wants to say, yeah, it was my fault. I should have worked harder 2 years ago. You know, when I went to Phuket, you would have seen it obviously more than I have. You know, you've been there longer than me. These people who, they come for like a 3-month training holiday, they train for a month. A lot of the time, what I find is they don't really know anybody there, so they're new in a new environment. They train. And if they're long enough, they start making friends. And now because they've got friends, they gravitate to the same kind of people. So now they're creating the exact same, well, not the exact same, but the same kind of group that they had back in London, back in...
They're creating the same environment.
Yeah. And now what happens? Oh, lads, do you want to we'll get a few beers? Next thing you know, they're balls deep in some ladyboy, they're snorting cocaine, they're doing all the shit they did back at home, just getting a suntan with it. And, you know, it's like, you've got to be on top of that shit. I saw it so many times when I started working there. You know, fortunately,
bro,
and you see it the other way. You know, you did it, I did it, because we have created environments back at home where we train.
I don't know about you, mate, but I wasn't balls deep in a ladyboy.
No, exactly, that's my point. You don't do that stuff at home. You're not going to do it in Thailand. Well, maybe I didn't.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Now I want to tie back into
these nights out in
oh, man, that's a great point though. Like your environment plays a massive part in whether or not you're going to be able to build your habits that's going to push you in the direction, the path that you want to walk on, man. You know, because here's the thing, like, and you know, I don't even think we've spoken about values on this episode, but like our last episode, it was fucking all about values, man. And I'm going to tie back into that, right? Like if you understand what your values are, then you're on that path and it's much easier to stay on that path because so many things are going to be trying to pull you in many different directions, right? And if you're not clear on where you're going and what you want to achieve, then like people start looking for distractions. And as you said, man, like, you know, people come over here to Thailand and they train and then they start finding their crew and they hang out with people and then they fall into the same environments that they were in back home. And then, you know, absolutely, like live your life, have some balance, right? But if you're only here for a short period of time and you're trying to turn your life around and you're trying to create these good habits that you can then take home and implement there, like you need to be fucking disciplined, man. And how do you be disciplined? You need to know why you're doing something. So it's much easier to stay on track because, you know, then you say yes to the things that matter to you and you say no to the things that don't or don't tie in with your values, man.
That's what we said before about the rest of, like, kind of everybody needs a different ingredient. You know, like when we were in Phuket, we go for a beer, watch a bit of rugby, we can have a couple of beers, get on the scooter and go home. It's done. You know, next morning we're in the gym. Whereas somebody else, it's like, if you this is where you need to get to know yourself. If you know as soon as you touch one beer, you know, so for somebody it's either 0 beers or it's, I don't even know how many I had. And next thing you're in Sunshine Bar, you're
blackout drunk.
You're doing all that stuff. You know,
balls deep in a ladyboy.
It's real that one back in. Yeah, so yeah, if you know you're that kind of person, this is where you've got to get honest with yourself and keep yourself out of the environment because you know if I enter that environment, it's game over. And I often say to people about breaking a circuit, like if I want this light to stop shining now, I can either turn the light switch off over there, I can cut the wire, I can smash the light bulb, but probably not a good idea to go to the light bulb and try and smash it. You know, deal with the problem earlier in the circuit. It's a lot easier to do it. If you're trying to, don't convince yourself that I'll just go to the bar, see what happens, tell the boys I'm not going to have a drink. Like, depending on what stage of life you're at, if you know it's not going to happen, don't put yourself in that situation. Stay away from it. It's like we say about food. If you know when you come home from a day of work, you're going to go in the fridge and get the ice cream out of the fridge. You know it's going to happen. The simple thing, you're not going to get in the fridge, open the door and go, nah. You know you're going to eat that ice cream. So again, know who you are. Don't put the ice cream in the fridge. Don't put, a couple of bottles of wine in the cupboard for Saturday night because you know you're going to dive in on Tuesday night. Again, it's different. It's all these personal complexities that neither you can't do it, I can't do it. No coach can look at everybody and say, you all need to do this. It's like we know where we're trying to get to. We know the sort of non-negotiables, like the not, try and get rid of it, not get rid of alcohol, but minimise your alcohol. Get to sleep, eat your vegetables, get enough protein. Like that stuff is non-negotiable. What's negotiable is, like you said about Will Foden, like how do we apply those things? So, when we talk about nutrition, for someone it might be, fasting, doing a 16-8 fasting thing may well work. For me, I've done it before. Like I can force myself to do it, but I don't like it. I get annoyed. I like those regular feeds, but I know I can have regular feeds of the right amount. So 3 meals a day is better for me. For somebody, 6 meals a day might work. Having a little snack in between those keeps them away from the Coke, like the drinking the Coke, the Coca-Cola, just to clear that up. Keeps them away from the stuff that drags them back. So if having 10 nuts at 10:30 in the morning stops you from having Coke and a chocolate bar, do it. So again, should we have, I don't know if you've studied like Ori Hofmeckler with the warrior diet. That's another one. Some people like to just graze in the day and have a big meal in the evening. If you know you're going to sit down with the kids and because it's a family experience, you're going to eat more, that might well work for you. Again, if it puts you in the right calorie range and you're not then craving and snacking and stuff in the day, that works. So which is better? 1 meal a day, 3 meals a day, 6 meals a day? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who are you? How does your life work?
Yeah. Mate, that's a brilliant point, man. That's something I want to touch on as well. Is like, they're all methods of eating, right? Like, if I know that I'm trying to build muscle, I know I need to be in a calorie surplus. If I'm training for performance, I know that I need to be in a slight calorie surplus, right? How I break my meals up each day might be different, right? Like maybe I know that I'm going for a couple of beers to watch the rugby on a Saturday afternoon with my mates. So maybe I do a 16-8 where, the day before I've had 6 meals, right? Because I've had a hard training session. I know that Saturday is going to be a light day. I'm going to be sitting around having a couple of beers with the boys. So maybe, I fast until 2:00 in the afternoon, right? And then I go and grab a feed and then start having a couple of beers and whatever. And then maybe Sunday might be 3 meals a day, right? And then I go back to 6 meals a day on Monday. So having those tools is important, man, because then you start applying them at the appropriate time. Okay, but you can't apply them at the appropriate time if you don't understand the principles.
That's exactly it. That is the same as what we spoke about with the Olympic lifting, the CrossFit. I've seen this, I've seen the top of the tree, I want to do that. If you don't understand how they work and when to use them, if someone listening to this now goes, oh, hang on, I heard Sean does 3 meals a day, 6 meals a day, if he drinks, he does. If you guys now try and do Sean can do this because he understands each of those methods. He understands the components, and you can intuitively pull that together over a week. Somebody else probably doesn't have the ability to do that. So, do each one for a few weeks, find which one works for you, and then you can start to put it together. It's exactly what we said. Don't try and jump to this. It's like a tradesman kind of going, right, I've now got all these tools. I'm just going to suddenly try and use all of them, a chainsaw and a bandsaw, and I know all of these. I can't even name a lot of the tools that tradesmen use. So it's, when you do your apprenticeship, it's like, right, here's how to use a hammer. Here's how to use a screwdriver. Like, let's focus. But that's exactly where people go wrong. It's like, I've heard, you might say, 6 meals a day is great. So someone wants to do that. Now they listen to me, they go, oh, John seems to know what he's talking about. They go on my Instagram, I'm talking about 3 meals a day. And then Will Foden, just for example, is talking about 1 meal a day and fasting. And you're like, well, shit, these guys all know what they're talking about, so I should probably try and do all of these together somehow and that's what fucks it up. So again, we come back. What is the non-negotiable for you? You brought up muscle building. The non-negotiable is there is Sean's in a calorie surplus.
Yeah.
If you're trying to build muscle, are you in a calorie surplus? Are you getting enough protein? Then, right, great. Which method now works for that?
Exactly. That's the overall principle, and then there's like so many different nuances that come into it. Like when am I going to have my macronutrients? How am I going to spread that out through the day? Am I going to use calorie cycling, carb cycling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, yeah, that's a great point, man. Now, what I want to kind of start wrapping the episode up with is going back to the data points that you were talking about before, because for me, I use data all the time, man. I think that data is so important. Like, I take my blood pressure, I take my waking heart rate, I take my heart rate variability, and that shows me, gives me a snapshot of my autonomic nervous system. How much stress is my system under, right? Like, if my body's under stress, my system's under stress because I've had a couple of days of hard training, I had a poor night's sleep, maybe had a couple of beers last night to watch A State of Origin, which is all true, then I wake up this morning and my heart rate variability, my readiness score is down. I'm in a sympathetic state, right? So I can't hammer my training, which is what I was planning on doing today. But then, I'm still doing some training, but I'm making sure it's recovery-based stuff so that, again, I'm balancing it out so that I can get after my training again tomorrow. Now, earlier you spoke about using the heart rate MyZone app or something like that?
Yeah, so we use it. That's for it's basically just a heart rate monitor that we can use in a group setting so like everybody's heart rates are kind of up on the screen. So, that's obviously like an in-training thing. Essentially what it does is it gives you points for working in a particular zone. So you've got to be careful with this because obviously some people then go, oh, well, if I'm always in the top zone, I get more points. So you've got to learn to
it becomes a competition.
Yeah, but exactly. But, from a coaching point of view, it helps me to go, look, this is like a 10-minute circuit. You're in minute 1 and you're at 95%. You're not going to last. So put it back. Stop trying to keep up with Sean because he's a coach. He's been training for 20 years. Stop following him. I want to watch your numbers. So as a result, now I can keep you in your aerobic zone, for the entire thing, rather than being high anaerobic for a minute and then you're sat on your ass puking in the corner. Yeah, because you try to keep.
That's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point, man. That's why I wanted to come back to those data points, right? Because every single person's going to be different. Let's say you've got like an 8-minute AMRAP. It might be like 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 kettlebell swings, right? Like, obviously some people aren't going to be able to do pull-ups, right? So what's another option that we can get them working on, right? Like, you might be able to do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 kettlebell swings with 24 kilos, right? And smash out fucking 12 rounds, right? And keep your heart rate at 80%. Someone else might be trying to do the same thing and struggle to get 2 to 3 rounds out and is pushing 95%, right? So we can use that data to then start making adjustments. And that person, hey, we want to get a little bit more of an aerobic capacity, right? All right, let's change the exercises. Okay, now instead of doing, like, you might be doing like full pull-ups, like chest to bar pull-ups, time under tension, quality, awesome technique, right? And then your push-ups might be plyometric push-ups, right? Clapping push-ups. And then kettlebell swing, maybe you go fucking heavy. Maybe you go, 32 kilos, right? For me, maybe I need to swap out the pull-ups for maybe a row, right? I'm going to get TRX row and I'm going to have my body on an angle. My push-ups, maybe I'm not doing push-ups. Maybe I'm have my knees on the floor and my hands are elevated on a couple of plates so that I've changed my angle. I've made those push-ups a little bit easier, right? So I'm not working in that anaerobic state. I can work in that aerobic state and I can knock out my 5 rows, my 10 push-ups on the knees, hands elevated. And maybe instead of doing kettlebell swings, because I haven't learned the technique for that yet, maybe I'm just going to sit down on a box and then stand back up again, do that 15 times. Okay, now I'm able to get through 8 rounds and keep my heart rate at 70%, 60%, whatever the target is, whatever you're working towards. So that's the point that I'm making, is like that data can then tell you how hard you're working and go, all right, that's not the target for today. Now I need to start changing my exercises, because it's not a one size fits all, man. Yes, we're still going to use similar movement patterns. We're still using a pull. We're still using a push. We're still using some form of lower body movement. Might be hip dominant, might be knee dominant, right? But, we need to adjust these tools to suit the person to elicit the response that we want.
Yeah,
and every single dude, you might have 10 people in the fucking class, right? And 10 people are doing 10 different types of pulls. 10 people are doing 10 different types of push. They're doing 10 different types of like lower body movement, right? Like, because we're adjusting as coaches to find the tools that are going to elicit the response. So yes, it is important to sometimes look at the end result and go, what do I want to achieve with this? And then I fill in the gaps with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we do on a Saturday morning, we have a class called Rush Hour, which is like pure cardio, so air bikes, rowers, and ski. And what I get people to do is, again, depending which month we're on, because I cycle it, we either do a 6-minute test, so as much as you can in like a step test, so 2 minutes kind of moderate, 2 minutes hard, and then 2 minutes sell your soul and hang on kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the average power, so average watts for those 6 minutes, or we do a 30-second test. You just go all out for 30 seconds, and again, we get the average watts. And then what I'll say the next week is, okay, we're doing, say, 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, so I'll go 4 minutes, and while I'm resting, you'll do 4 minutes. I want you to work at, say, 40% of your 30-second power, whatever. I can't think of the numbers right now, but the numbers are there. So, I might be, okay, I need to row at 350 watts. You used to row in the Olympics, so you're able to sustain 600 watts.
Yep.
If we watch the heart rates, we're both at sort of 85, 90% by the end. So at the end of the session, I'm a beginner, you're an ex-Olympian, we both train our aerobic system. We've both been just above the threshold for enough time to get a progression. Whereas, again, this is what can happen with some of these gym workouts is, I come in, I'm like, oh, this guy looks in shape, I'm going to keep up with him. So me, I'm looking at, I'm next to your row, I'm looking at your numbers, like, fucking I'm having a bit of this. 30 seconds in, I start getting that, oh shit. I can't maintain this, I've got 5, if I'm doing 4 minutes, I've got 3.5 minutes to go. Now I'm absolutely ball bagged. So I kind of went here, and now I'm this far below the sort of lactate threshold. I'm getting no training effect. Whereas you're now, this is easy for me. I used to do double this when I was training for the Olympics. So now I've ruined my session trying to keep up with you. And this is what people are doing. We don't see this stuff because, again, I crucified myself for the first 30 seconds, and then I managed to keep rowing for the other 3.5 minutes. And I get off the rower, and I'm fucked, and I'm sweating, and I feel like I'm fatigued. Everyone's high-fiving, the coach is pulling me off the rower, like, yeah, man, great effort, all this sort of stuff. So again, I'm getting confirmation that was the right thing to do. But actually, in terms of my training, the 30 seconds was relatively effective, but the rest of it was a waste of time. And over the weeks, I'm not developing that aerobic fitness because I missed effectively 3.5 minutes of training where I could have been just pulling that threshold up and doing it next week and next week and next week and next week.
Yeah. Because that data's guiding you, man. Like from the outside looking in, you as you said, that person seems to be working a lot harder, but in reality, the person that's going slower next to them because they're not as versed in that movement or that energy system or whatever. Like from the outside looking in, one person's working a lot harder than the other. Okay, but that data shows you they've actually got the same fucking output and they're actually getting the same response from the training, even though it looks different. That's why data is so important, right? The numbers don't lie, man.
Linked to that, it's kind of the other side of the same coin, is when you're constantly making up your workouts, how do I know if I progress? So I can't remember, whatever circuit you said before about push-ups, pull-ups, and swings, I think you said. So, okay, I did that perfectly. Perfect thing for 10 minutes. My heart rate stayed at 85%. Okay, next Tuesday, I come in and we're doing, 20 calories on the air bike, straight into a 1 mile run. Do that for 10 minutes. Well, how do I know? How do I know if that's any better than last week? Because both of those are going to fuck me up. But how do I know if I progress? Whereas if I did that circuit again and I did, an extra 3 reps of everything and I completed the same amount of rounds, I've obviously improved. Various things have improved there. Or, maybe I did a heavier weight and I got the same amount of rounds. Again, what is the objective? Is it, if it's more of a strength WOD, which never really makes sense to me, but you get where I'm going with it, then I want to focus on lifting a heavier weight. Whereas, if it's maybe a power endurance, then did I get more calories? Was I able to do that for more rounds? There needs to be something that I can compare. Otherwise, literally, your marker is I worked hard. And clearly, it will elicit some kind of result. Like, you can't work hard for 10 minutes and kind of not make any progress, but you will make much better progress in terms of what you're trying to progress by tracking it, monitoring it. And again, that's why even our fitness camps now, I've now given them journals, so we write down the strength. I actually make people write shit down, because I told them to put it in your phones. People don't do it, but it's that important that I paid for these journals. That have one, I don't care, because by you getting results, it'll be better for my business anyway. So track how many reps did you do last week? What weight did you use? So the strength stuff I tend to keep the same. I'm opening up a few cans of worms here, but the strength stuff I tend to keep the same, because I think it's like super important for everybody to just have that progressive overload each week. Whereas some of the conditioning, I will mix it up. Again, more because I know my clients and they want a bit of variety. They're not trying to be an athlete where there's a specific objective. But having said that, even then, each month the conditioning will be, say, endurance based. So I want you working non-stop for 20 minutes. Whereas next month it'll be, right, I want you to work balls out for like 60 seconds and then take 60 seconds off. Within that 60 seconds, we might mix it up a bit so you feel like you're doing something different, but I'm still getting that sort of anaerobic. And all this stuff's going on. Clients don't know this stuff, they just do what they're told. But as a coach, that's why I get the results I get. And it's constant. We spoke about it earlier. I come home and I'm like, okay, that didn't quite work, so I'm going to switch that, change that. A lot of the time, the clients, I don't need to explain it to the clients, I just need to make it better for them by changing these variables. And that's what's not present anymore, is people don't ask. It is literally, come in, I'm going to smash the fuck out of you.
Yeah. Dude, like, that ties into everything we've spoken about those principles, right? Like, what you're working towards, you have clarity on what the goal is for that phase, and then you can pick and choose. Like, you've got your overarching headline, right? And then you can just like slot things in and out as you see fit, right? Depending on the equipment availability, depending on how many people you have, right? You're working on what your intent is, and you've always got that in your mind. How you fucking achieve that doesn't matter, right? You can throw in some random stuff here. Well, it seems seemingly random, right? But there's still an intent with the exercise you're choosing, the order that you're putting in, how many reps you're doing, how hard they're working, etc., etc. Now, you did talk about the tangible numbers, man. And again, tying back into one of the very first things that we spoke about is like, if you're listening at home and you're going, I got good results for the first 3 months, but I haven't moved in the last 9 months, you're probably not fucking tracking anything. Right? Like, how do you know if you're getting stronger? How do you know if you're getting leaner? How do you know if you're getting fitter, faster, building more endurance, et cetera, because if you're not tracking these numbers, then you've got no fucking checkpoint to say, hey, what I'm doing is working or it's not working, so I need to start making some adjustments.
Yeah, I think the key thing with that is, again, don't try and track everything. If you're listening to this and you're like, right, I've done nothing for 2 years, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I'm tired of it, then I basically have 3 categories. There's either health data, transformation data, performance data. So health data is going to be your blood pressure, maybe your blood sugar. It's going to be your sleep, like how many hours of sleep am I getting? Even like the water, how much water am I drinking? Like, just focus on that stuff. Do that stuff for 3 months. If you do it religiously for 3 months, not necessarily every day, but 90-95% of the time, you are going to get results. And you will lose weight, you'll lose body fat, you'll feel better, all the stuff you want down the line. Now, once you get to a point, you're like, okay, my blood pressure's in a good place, I'm always getting good sleep, I'm fine with that. You can keep tracking that if you want, and then you can add new ones or kind of put that to the side. Now we're going to go, okay, I'm going to specifically get an in-body body composition scan every Monday. I'm going to look at, you said about HRV. HRV, I'll probably put into that. But transformation, if we're just talking about aesthetics, then focus on the stuff that's really going to get muscle up and body fat down. So probably a bit more on the nutrition. Am I getting the protein in every day? Am I getting the calories in the right place, whether that's a surplus or a deficit? What do I say? And then, obviously with the in-body scan, track those numbers. Because ultimately, if you're not tracking your body fat and your body composition, your muscle and your fat, then you don't know if the protein and the calories are working. You might think you're doing the right thing, but again, everybody's slightly different. It's always like take the science and then we tweak it as we go. And then, that might be all you ever need. But if you're, one of your guys training in a Tiger there or even a sort of amateur athlete, then we need to look at, stuff like your VO2 max, your maxes in the gym, your power output, your vertical jump, all this kind of stuff. Again, if you're coming into this, I actually had this discussion at the place I worked at in Phuket. Like one of their tests for people coming on the weight loss program was a vertical jump test, and I was like, why? Like, why? Not one of these people is coming here going, I really want to jump 2 inches higher. So it's knowing it's the relevant data. So again, I know some people will think, but numbers, all this tracking stuff. It is super important, but also don't be one of those people who get so bogged down by like every single number that is trackable, and then you forget to just do some fucking hard work. We see that these days. Like, how many people spend half of their time in the gym like, hang on, my Apple Watch isn't working, and hang on, Bluetooth's not working on the headphones, and Spotify's not connected to the Wi-Fi, and you've lost 30 minutes where you could have just been, getting on with it. And that's the other thing now. Some people, it's almost like. In fact, we joke about it with the MyZone. Someone said, I forgot to wear my MyZone. I went out for a 30-mile run the other day. So we kind of joke. It's like, that didn't count. So you didn't get your points, so it wasn't worth doing it.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I want to start wrapping up, mate.
Yeah.
A lot of we went all over the place today. And I love chatting to you, man, because, we do go off on tangents, bro. And it is, hey, like for the audience, we're like, hey, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about this. And then it was just like, all right, that's what we're talking about. And then we just fucking went all over the place. So, I am going to have a lot of my episodes that I've previously recorded, linked in the show notes on, tracking tools, including basic health markers, objective tracking, the things that you spoke about, tape measure, photos, clothes, blah, blah, blah. Body composition, then subjective tracking tools on tracking sleep and mood and attitude and like hair, skin, nails and all that sort of shit. Then I'm going to go through, I'm going to link periodization, I'm going to link nutritional pyramid of importance, and just kind of everything that we've touched on in today's episode. I'm going to link all of those relevant episodes to this one. But for people listening, if they want to get in contact with you, if they like your content, they like your approach, where can they find you?
Well, the best bet is Instagram and social media is John Tocq, spelled JONLETOCQ, or stormforcefitness.com is a great place to start on different things. And obviously the book, if you go to secretsofshowingup.com, that's the book that you need to get. I just found that page just on what you were talking about there. That's why you call them success streaks. So in terms of tracking, sometimes literally if you track your habits, it's like tick, 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 tick for 21 days. You tick all of those off, then the data markers we're talking about will improve. So, and that's what I say about don't get too obsessed with the result. First of all, it's like, track the habits and the behaviours, and then data will take off.
The results come.
Yeah, you can find me in various places, but to make it easy, stormforcefitness.com is a good place to start if you want to drop me an email or anything.
Awesome, mate. I'll have all of that in the show notes. JLT, thank you very much for being a part of the podcast, mate. Always a pleasure chatting to you, brother.
Yeah, mate, I enjoy it. I mean, we've done a good nearly 2 hours there. I'm guessing it was supposed to be an hour.
Solid, mate. I'll get you back on again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's always more to chat about.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
And there we have it, guys. The next installment of my Coach's Corner series with John Tocq of Stormforce Fitness. I thoroughly enjoy my conversations with JLT. As you can see, we go all over the place. We cover a lot of different topics, but we also dive deep into some of them. If you enjoy the conversation as well, please make sure you share it to your stories. You can either take a screenshot or you can go onto Spotify, hit the share button, and that'll come up with your Instagram stories. Make sure you tag JLT and myself so that we can reshare as well. This episode was brought to you by Be Spunky, which is an Australian-made TGA-listed nutraceutical developed to support and optimize male hormones. This is a product that I've been taking for around about a year and a half, and I absolutely love. And I also really support the guys that are driving the product, because how they started the business, why they started the business is really inspiring, and it was all about creating the best environment and optimizing hormones for males to be able to live at their best on a day-to-day basis. You can go onto their website, bespunky.com.au, use the code KOBES10, KOBES 10 at checkout for your discount. Any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Much love, guys. Peace.